Everyone and welcome to today's Market Snapshot. My name is Craig Erlam, Senior Market Analyst at OANDA. Now, as I've mentioned in my morning piece this morning and as I've alluded to for the rest of the week, today is the biggest day of the week. Not only do we have the standout event, which is Janet Yellen's speech at Jackson Hole, there's also a lot of economic data coming around that as well. We've already had our two major releases from Europe this morning, being the UK and French GDP figures. Now, these were both revised readings and were both unrevised as it turns out. So the UK grew at 0.6% in the second quarter compared to the first, and by 2.2% year on year. France didn't grow at all in the second quarter. We have become accustomed to the French economy stagnating, and that is what has been confirmed today. Not really too much to add on the GDP figures, really, given that there was no revisions to the numbers. The key thing now is going to be the US. We've got a lot of data to come as well ahead of Yellen's speech, and it is going to be interesting to see whether she does address the data which we get before, given how important it is. We've got GDP data, the revised number, and that's expected to be revised marginally lower. If it isn't, if there is a big revision, then she may touch on it at some point during her speech. We've also got the corporate personal consumption expenditures and the personal consumption expenditure prices. This is the deflator, which they so often refer to. It's an inflation measure, and it is something that Fed pays close attention to. Again, I really would expect the markets to pay close attention to this. How they'll react, though, is going to be another thing, because I do really think everyone is just paying very close attention to what Yellen has to say today. Now, we've seen a big change in the Fed funds futures over the past couple of months. Even in the last couple of days, we've seen some changes. You remember yesterday, the probability of a rate hike in December actually nipped above 50%, and it remains above 50% today, but we have eased off. It was around 43% for it to remain as is yesterday, earlier on in the session. Then it moved up to around 49.4. It's pulled back again to around 48.3, but the important thing here is that the probability of a rate hike in December is still above 50%, just above 50%, I should say, which again makes Janet Yellen's speech today at Jackson Hole so important. We see so much volatility around this whenever we hear from different Fed officials, particularly, of course, the most influential of which being the chair, Yellen. There's so much uncertainty surrounding when the Fed's going to raise interest rates. The mixed messages we've had at times from the Federal Reserve has left the markets quite confused, and which is why we frequently see the markets price in December, and then someone will make a comment and all of a sudden it's been pushed out till June, then it comes back until March, and so on and so forth. It really wouldn't surprise me today if we see another big swing in expectations on the back of what Janet Yellen says. Equally, it wouldn't surprise me, if I'm perfectly honest, if she just keep her cards close to her chest, lets nothing go, and the markets once again left disappointed. The question will be how the markets will react to that. If she again stresses the importance of data dependency, if she again stresses that the Fed would like to raise rates this year, but doesn't give a significantly hawkish hint, then it really wouldn't surprise me if we see expectations being pushed back to March, which could weigh on the dollar, because that would be seen as dovish and could have would have an impact, I'd imagine, on Treasury yields as well. US 10-year Treasury is currently marginally changed down 0.01%, so that's a very, very marginally dovish move so far in Treasury yields today. Elsewhere in the markets today, it has been quite quiet. There is very much a case of people sitting on the fence ahead of this meeting. We know how much volatility we can get around these events, and usually in the run up to the events, particularly when there's not a huge amount of else to focus on, you will see markets almost freeze up a little bit, and that appears at least to be what we're seeing today, particularly in the currency markets. We are seeing small losses in European equity markets. That's probably a little bit of risk aversion, but aside from that, like I say, the real focus today is on Janet Yellen's speech. We'll also get the Baker Hughes oil rig count, which I think is going to be important. We saw that build again earlier this week, which has weighed on oil prices. We heard from the Saudi oil minister who suggested that there's any significant move by OPEC isn't needed, which has maybe weighed a little bit on oil price again, because that reduces the chances of any deal being agreed, given that there's clearly not any urgency, it would appear, from Saudi Arabia, even if other comments from elsewhere would potentially suggest otherwise. But like I say, the oil rig count today I think is going to be a key. Again, we have seen a continued rise in oil rigs over the last number of weeks, and we could see another. If we see another rise today, then I could weigh a little bit more on oil prices, which again haven't fallen dramatically, but we are seeing Brent crude back below $50 a barrel, and WTI crude around $47 a barrel. Again, though, just want to stress one more time, the key event today is that Jackson Hole meeting. It is Janet Yellen's speech, which is due to take place around 3 p.m. UK time. As always, to get more in-depth news and analysis, check out OANDA MarketPulse at MarketPulse.com. We've got plenty of stuff on Jackson Hole today, as well as plenty of other content as well. There'll be more coming on throughout the day. Another good piece from Stephen overnight, over in Singapore, who wrote about Jackson Hole from an APAC perspective. We've also got some good analysis as well from Kenny and all the other analysts as well. You can also find out more about OANDA and sign up for a free demo account at oanda.com. Here you'll also get access to OANDA Forex Labs, which has a lot of great tools designed to help you with your trading.